if you have the most brilliant AI engines, the most brilliant sort of intelligence layers, but fed with siloed, incomplete, or poor quality data, you're simply going to drive your business towards poorer decisions quickly.
Tell me, how important is data? It's the topic that comes up all the time. What's your view? Take us through it.
I mean, you can't underpin the value there in terms of, I don't think you can build an intelligence transformation or become an AI native business if you've got a fragmented, poor quality data foundation underneath that. So you need to get on top of that. You need to address that. You need to make sure it's not just accessible, but it's, again, you've been intentional about how you've defined the boundaries between your different domains. If you have the most brilliant AI engines, the most brilliant sort of intelligence layers, but fed with siloed, incomplete, or poor quality data, you're simply going to drive your business towards poorer decisions quickly. I think one of the very, very happy byproducts of our engagement with Salesforce was, taking a step back, we're a digital native business, we've got a pretty solid data infrastructure and a data platform that underpins us, but I think going through rolling out Salesforce across the whole business, what it did is it really drove us to rethink those boundaries and sharpen, making sure that all of the hygiene factors that you'd want for scaling intelligence on top of good quality data really were in place. And we were in a decent place, but I think that initiative helped us to sort of really sharpen it across the board, setting ourselves up very well for what's to come with AI.
Okay, now clearly we can't talk about data without also talking about trust and security. And you'll be aware there's been loads of headlines recently around breaches, availability. Tell us, when you think about AI and the advantages that it offers your business, what risks do you see? What comes with AI that you also need to think about through the implementation?
I mean, it's a very, very nascent field, and I think there's so much pressure to drive the AI agenda in so many businesses that I think we are at serious risk of poorly understanding the different we've got an expanded surface area now with AI, and I think it comes across a few different vectors. You've got things like model bias and how that can sort of influence quite severely the outcomes that your AI systems are producing. But you've also got things like prompt injection attacks. You've got the ability to inadvertently have bad actors exfiltrate sensitive data, customer data, from your AI systems. You've got also an interesting. I talked earlier about poor quality data arriving at bad decisions, and I think you've also another sort of attack vector for us, something we think about very carefully, which is we talk about having all this data to power these intelligent outcomes, so there's a constant search for how do we source the right data artifacts to power those, and I think it's very, very easy to overlook the controls in place on what otherwise looks like documents and simple flat files and things like that don't necessarily, there's a lot of rigor around the model, the versioning of the model, the system that uses it. But if you've got a RAG sort of capability, then you've got to also make sure you've got really strict versioning on how and authorization around who can supply what documents to power those systems. Because again, you can get some really malicious content that drives a completely different behavior from your system if you're not careful.